Chapter 1. Echoes of the Past. The evidence sat in a box for 30 years. Dust settled over the edges of the manila folders, the ink on the crime scene photos fading to sepia. Somewhere in those brittle pages lay the answer if only someone would look. Detective Maria Vasquez had seen this before. The way cold cases accumulated like sediment, layer upon layer of forgotten details. But this one was different. The victim's name, Lena Whitmore, was still whispered in the halls of the precinct. A young woman found in a field outside town, her life cut short before it had barely begun. The killer had left no fingerprints, no witnesses, no clear motive, just a body and a question that refused to die. Maria flipped open the case file, the hinges of the box groaning in protest. Inside, the past was waiting. The year was 2003 when Lena Whitmore disappeared. A college student, bright-eyed and full of plans. She had vanished on a Friday night after leaving a friend's apartment. Her car was found abandoned near the highway, keys still in the ignition. The search lasted weeks. The hope lasted months. The case went cold. But cold cases don't stay buried forever. By 2020, the world had changed. DNA databases had grown from a handful of samples to millions. Genealogy websites, once just for tracing family trees, now held the keys to unlocking identities of the unknown. And in a lab somewhere, a scientist was running a test that would rewrite history. Maria had spent years chasing leads that went nowhere. But this time, she had something new, a partial DNA profile from the crime scene uploaded to a public database. It was a long shot, a gamble. But in the world of cold cases, long shots were all they had. The match came in at 3:17 a.m. A name, a face, a man who had lived his life under the radar, unaware that the past was closing in. The suspect's name was Daniel Reese, a quiet man, unremarkable in every way except one. He had been in the same town when Lena Whitmore disappeared. He had no record, no history of violence. Just a life lived in the shadows, until now. Maria stood outside his door, her badge heavy in her pocket. She had done this 100 times before, but this time the weight of the past pressed down on her shoulders. The knock echoed through the hallway. A pause, then footsteps. The door opened. Daniel Reese blinked at her, his expression unreadable. He was older now, his hair streaked with gray, but his eyes were the same eyes that had looked into Lena Whitmore's before she died. Mr. Reese, Maria said, her voice steady, I need to ask you a few questions. The interrogation room was small, the air thick with the fluorescent lights. Daniel sat across from her, his hands folded neatly on the table. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He didn't ask for anything. You knew Lena Whitmore, Maria said. It wasn't a question. Daniel exhaled slowly. A long time ago, you were the last person to see her alive. A flicker of something crossed his face. Regret? Fear? Maria couldn't tell. I didn't hurt her, he said. But the DNA didn't lie. The trial was a media storm. Reporters camped outside the courthouse, their cameras flashing like fireflies in the dark. Linda's family sat in the front row, their grief as raw as the day she had disappeared. The evidence was damning. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty. As the gavel fell, Maria felt something shift inside her. Not just ice, just this was a word too small for what had happened here. This was closure. This was the past finally catching up. Years later, in another lab, another case would be cracked. Another name would surface from the shadows. The technology kept improving. The databases kept growing. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of the world, the echoes of the past would never stop calling. But for now, Lena Whitmore's story was over. And Maria Vasquez's work was just beginning.